And welcome to Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres, episode 226. Today we're going to be looking at Flickr. Anybody remember Flickr? It was really popular back in the days before Instagram and Facebook took over, and then it took a bit of a downhill slide. But I think it's worth reinvestigating again. In fact, I'm kind of looking at the idea of expanding what we can do with the podcast by using some of the features in Flickr. So that's what today's podcast is all about. So here we are, live on YouTube, if you happen to be watching live, that is, in which case, stick a comment down below, say hello, tell me where you are from, all the usual kind of stuff, and we can make a start. So yes, and welcome to Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres. And today, Flickr. Well, actually, before we get to today, I can see we've got a couple of people in already. So let's read a couple of comments and make a start. April says, greetings all from a cloudy Long Island, New York. Nick says, hello all. Nick Bath is actually down in Bath, I seem to remember. And he says, hello folks, miserable and cold here in Hertfordshire. Marilyn says, hello from a frozen Colorado. Nadia says, hi all from a cold and wet, miserable Fife. Nick says he's still on Flickr. John says, hello from Columbus, Ohio. Nice day here, but still cold. Susan says, hi from a grey and wet Kakubri. And John says he still uses Flickr as well. And I know Andy does as well. So this is good. Well, at least we've got a few people to make a start with. Now, one of the things I've suddenly realised I've done is I've left my glass of water on the far side of the room. So bear with me just 1 second. As I kind of go and grab my glass of water, because I can actually feel the fact that my throat's feeling a little bit dry at the moment. Now, of course, the other thing is I still don't have the computer fixed yet, so it could still go at any point. I know we've been extraordinarily lucky over the past 3 podcasts. I have no idea. If this suddenly all goes dead, please try and bear with me. I don't know whether it will be successful. What I will have to do is the computer is still randomly freezing and restarting itself, and I still haven't got to the bottom of it yet. I'm starting to get to all sorts of levels of panic of, am I going to have to get a new computer? Still 1 or 2 last things to try, but anyway, everything's still up in the air. So if everything goes blank, stick with me. It shouldn't take more than about 2 or 3 minutes for this to restart itself and for me to try and reconnect, if it will allow me to do so. If that happens, I will also try and leave a comment somewhere. I have my tablet open with me so that I can hopefully leave a comment and say, still here, or if we're running into many problems, or if it's like, okay, sorry, we've got to scrap it and come back next week. So, yes, where were we? Oh, a couple of little extra comments. Janet's joined us from icy Port Stanley, Ontario. And Susan's asking Nadia if she can, saying there's contact problems there. So maybe lost Facebook and Messenger, can't connect you. Okay, but see if you can swap. Well, I don't know. Wouldn't put your email address directly into this because this is then there for everybody else. But if you can find some other way of connecting, or if you want, email me, because I'm connected to both of you on email, and I'm quite happy to send both of you each other's email addresses. So that's Susan and Nadia. Okay, so let's make a start. We have people here. We have a topic to talk about. We have absolutely miserable weather out here. We survived Storm Eowyn. I have to say we were extraordinarily lucky here in Castle Douglas, or this bit of Castle Douglas, this house. We didn't suffer anything more than a compost bin getting blown over and 1 slate off the roof. A friend of mine's literally across the road, had his shed flattened and spent the morning trying to gather all sorts of bits up. So, and there's various trees down, and some people have had some really quite bad experiences. Anyway, we're safe here. The wind has more or less died down, but it is now raining. It's cold. It's about 4 degrees Celsius, or is that about 39 degrees Fahrenheit or thereabouts. So not particularly pleasant. Now, so where was I? Yes, okay. So let's make a start then. Flickr. Yes, Janet's another Flickr user as well. So we kind of got a starting point here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through, because not everybody who watches this has Flickr, is on Flickr, maybe even knows what Flickr is about. So I'm going to talk you a little bit through it. I'm going to walk you through the idea of what we're going to try and do. So essentially, in essence, what I've done is I've set up a group, a group for the podcast. But I'm also wanting to kind of expand on what we do with the podcast a little bit. And I'm going to talk about that as we go. So if you have questions as we go, leave them in the comments. Of course, I will keep referring back to them. This is going to be an ongoing thing. It has to be said right from the beginning, it's an experiment. That's probably the best way of putting it, is it's an experiment. We're going to see whether it works or not. I have no guarantees of anything, and we're just making it all up as we go along, which is the thing about being an adult. That you're never told as a child. You think that adults know what they're doing, and then you become an adult and you realise you spend your entire life making it up as you go along. So that's what we're doing. The key part of this is I'm going to need your help, because this is about you. This is about us. This is about our understanding photography community and the drive behind it to improve our photography through feedback, through positive engagement, through learning about all these techniques of composition and light and form and line and technical settings and whatever we can, but we're sharing these ideas and they are kind of focused through the podcast. But I want to expand this beyond just me giving the occasional bit of feedback on the podcast to actually more of being able to help each other. Now, we have the Facebook group. The problem with the Facebook group, though, is that it is just one discussion strand. Every new bit that gets put in pushes everything further down. I thought when I set up the Facebook group that it might encourage a bit more chat between members, but it never really has, and I think part of that's the structure. Whereas Flickr has a group for different discussion threads, which I think will give us more options. There's also places where you can set up galleries to have your own images, and that's going to make life a lot easier to discuss things backwards and forwards, refer people to images, build your own portfolio as well. We can even go into the world of curating your images. It's working out which ones to put up and which ones not. So I feel it kind of expands the idea. What have we got? Oh, Meg's saying hello everyone. Marilyn says true. Becca's joined everybody here. Says hi, hello everyone. Sorry, from a windswept Ayrshire. Greetings, Becca. Okay, so what are we talking about with Flickr? So Flickr is a photo website, and it launched, I think it was around about 2004, 2005, something like that. It was considered one of the first Web 2.0 ideas. Up until this time, if you like, Web 1 was the internet, once it sort of started a World Wide Web, as we know it, back in the early 90s, set up by Tim Berners-Lee. Most things tended to be websites. You went to the site, you got your information, and if you wanted other information, you went to another site. Then there was a sort of growth of this idea of interactive sites where you could create more communities. Blogger, where people would sort of write blogs. Reddit, which was an extension out of the old kind of bulletin boards that had been around pre-World Wide Web. So these kind of things. And Flickr was one of these where you could post your photos and you could create your own little site. Now, it grew for a while. It became, I think it eventually reached like the 20th or 19th most visited popular site on the whole of the internet. But then various other things happened. First of all, it got bought over by Yahoo. Yahoo had Yahoo Photos up until that point, and then it kind of consolidated the two, pissed off a few people, but it kind of kept going. Then it started growing a bit more, but then we had the likes of Instagram and Facebook and YouTube really started growing around 2007, 2008, 2009. And then I think it got bought over, Yahoo itself got bought over by Verizon, big mega kind of company, and essentially Flickr kind of went downhill. A lot of what it was originally seen as benefits sort of died off. There wasn't the investment in it. And so there's quite a few people, already we have seen a few with the group have a Flickr account. And some of you may still have an old Flickr account that was set up back in 2009 and essentially hasn't been used for since 2013 or something. But about 5-6 years ago, I think SmugMug bought Flickr took it over again and started reinvesting in it and started rebuilding it again. Now, there's been various bits back and forwards, and it used to be a great free site where you had vast amounts of space. But what it has now, your basic free entry setup, is you can join for free, and you have space for up to 1,000 videos or photos. And 1,000 videos or photos is a lot of space. So it's a lot of space for you to be able to curate and grow your own gallery. And actually, if you've got more than 1,000 photos, maybe that's the point where you can start going curating. Well, what are my best ones? What ones don't I need in here? Can I have the best of? But what you can also do is potentially keep aside a little space, maybe keep a space for 100 or something like that, for feedback, for putting out there, for asking for help on, for asking for advice, another pair of eyes to look at. And so this is part of where I'm feeling that Flickr might come in handy for us. It's a free, well-established site that can give us tools to be able to consolidate and grow this community and what we can do with this community. And it is aimed specifically at photographers or those interested in photography. So with that in mind, let's go and take a look at Flickr. Oh, so, sorry, I just, what's that? Oh, right, that's just Nadia and Susan passing it. Okay, so somebody set one or either of you ping me an email and remind me to send both email addresses to both of you. Right, okay, so let's do a little thing here where what I will do is I will go over to Flickr. So what I've already got my Flickr site open here. This is just flickr.com. So that's Flickr without an E at the end. So Flickr, flickr.com. Now, it's dead easy to set up if you're logged. If I could log out, but honestly, you're grown-ups. You know how to log into a site or sign up to a site. Okay, it's not complicated. I think, in fact, you can probably sign in even using Google or Facebook or something else. You know, it's fairly easy to sign up to. Once you're signed up to it, a little bit like PhotoCrowd or a little bit like almost any other site, on your kind of opening page, you have a feed. Now, in here, what my feed is got people I'm connected to. I'm not actually connected to that many people on Flickr. I'm hoping that will change as we make more of this. Again, I'm one of these people who was originally on Flickr in a much bigger way 12, 14 years ago, and then more or less abandoned it about 10 years ago, and now I've just come back to it in the last year or so. But as you can see, I'm connected to Janet. I'm connected to Andy. And so what's happened here is they've put up in my stream the last photos that Andy and Janet put up. And if I scroll down, we've got Janet's pictures of Aurora. And, you know, Janet's posts more than most people. There's a guy called Ross who I'm connected to. So basically, you get your latest ones up here. There's also bits from Flickr where they're sort of saying they did their 2024 year in review. You can click on that. So there's little things happen down on the right hand side as well. Now the main thing is about you. So in the you bit, I click here on you, so that's me, or I can go and click over on my profile picture over on the right. And what I have here is it goes to my photo stream. Now, it also says up here, I currently have 77 followers. I'm following 31 people. So this is, I mean, despite the fact, so joined 2008, you can see I haven't really been working it very much. I'm planning on changing this if we can get this to go. But what I have is 441 photos. And what I did last year, it was either last year or the tail end of the year before, was I decided what really drove me back to the idea of Flickr was the idea of I wanted to have a proper online gallery, a place where I could really put the best of my best photos. Partly for my own smugness, you know, just that bit whereby I've got photos I'm proud of and I want to know that I've got them somewhere. But it also becomes a place if I can refer other people to. and it's a quick access point, because sometimes if I'm with somebody and I want to sort of show them a set of photos or a particular photo, and you know what it's like, you've got them on your phone or you've got them on your tablet, but you could scroll forever, you can't remember where it was. So this became a place to organize my best photos, the ones that were going to be really most accessible, most useful to me. Now, you have this photo stream. So this is going in reverse order of when I've put photos up. So you can see here I've got the photos from the steampunk shoot. I've got a couple of photos from the Cluedo shoot. I've got some other photos from different shoots that I've done with different people. And we can kind of scroll down. Some of these you might recognize. So the photo stream tends to go in reverse order. The latest two photos I've put up here are actually I've used for the group itself. So there's a group header and a group avatar. So I needed somewhere to use the photos from. Now, the other thing you could do is you can create albums. And this is what I find particularly useful. Now, an album can have the same photo can appear in as many albums as you like. And what I do with my albums is so I've got like a narrative photography album. I've got a portraits album. I've got an album for artists and makers. I've got an album for businesses and organizations, musicians, book magazine and album covers, people at work, collaborations with, in this case with Annalise and Phil, or Morag, or B20. I've got a place where I put black and white. I've got a place where I put self-portraits, which I've explored. And I've even got a place where I've got behind-the-scenes videos. So on this one, all the kind of little behind-the-scenes videos I did with, whether it's a Peaky Blinders shoot or the in-house chocolate shoot, they're all sitting there in one easily accessible place. So you can see then that it's useful. It's useful to have. So I can go back to my albums list, and I can, if I want to pull up any particular major photo that I've used, then I've put them in and curated them to the ones that I wanted to have. Right. So that's kind of the starting point. However, you can also explore, if you want to go in and explore what other people are doing. There's a recent photos part here, which is across the board. You want to see what other people are up to? Here's people posting all the latest photos that have been put onto it. There's trending, events, print. If you want to print up one of your pictures, you can do that. Now, it does have a pro option. Like I say, for free, you get 1,000 photos. You also get up to 50 that you can mark as private, that nobody else can see. If you've got Pro, you can mark as many as you get unlimited images and videos, and you can mark as many as you want to be private. You also get stats, you get ad-free browsing, unlimited uploads, product support, all this kind of stuff. So actually, if you're really wanting to kind of do a lot more with your photography, there's space for that. And I can't remember exactly what the it's also got subscription perks for everything else as well, FAQ. So it's not hideously expensive. Can I remember how much it is off the top of my head? I can't. If I click get started, where do we go? Flickr Pro, $4.66 a month on average. That's pounds there. So what's that for? Can't remember what that works out at. They've not kindly put what that is. You can do it annually, £5 a month. So £5 a month, £60 a year. What's that? Roughly about $70, $75 or euros, give or take a bit. Or you can do monthly, £8.79. Obviously, they want you to do annual or 2 year. They're giving a much better discount. So that's an option then. So if you want to go pro, you can. Oh, April says, question, what is the difference between Flickr and Instagram? I don't have either yet. Well, Instagram is a place where you have... okay, let's very quickly show you Instagram. Where have I gone? If I go to here, I go to my Instagram page here. So Instagram is a place where I can pin photos. It has a particular square grid format. It's in direct, your latest picture is at the top, unless you have the option for 3 pinned photos. So I've pinned these 3 at the top, but basically that's my most recent photo, that's the second most recent photo, third most recent photo, and so on and so until we scroll back. Here you've got followers, you've got who you're following, you can create links to other websites. It's a fun kind of interaction site, but it's not a place for discussions. I think Instagram's quite an interesting thing to do, but we can, if you want, but I can turn over a podcast to that at another date. But it's a different kind of site. If we go back to Flickr, this is really where I'm trying to get to. So you've got your photo stream, and you can create your albums. You can also favorite other people's photos. So if I go to Andy's photo here and I think, oh, I'd quite like to, we can see with this one, this photo, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Andy. It's 407 views, 11 favorites. So, and no comments. But if I want, I can comment on it. I can now type into this, great photo, Andy, love it. Oh, in fact, actually, there's emoji options here, so I can put a heart and add the comment. And now Andy will probably get a notification somewhere saying that he's now got a comment on this photo. But what I can also do is I can favorite it if I want. So if I go and click on the little star there, that's now added it to my favorites. One of the other things Flickr does as well, actually, show your appreciation with the gift of Flickr Pro. So if I wanted to be really generous to Andy, and I'm feeling full of money and praise, I could click on that and actually pay for him to have a Flickr Pro account. So there's options here. I can share it. If I click share, there are options here which come up where I can email it, I can embed it into my blog or something else, or I can share it onto Facebook. Is that Twitter? X, Pinterest, Tumblr. That was it, Tumblr. I thought there was something, yes. So there's a couple of different things that I can do with sharing as well. So it allows you to comment, to share. So there's more space, I think, to play around with. And now that I've got that in my favorites, if I go to my favorites folder here, we can see that I've got Andy's picture there. Here's another picture of Andy's I favorited a little while ago. Here's a picture of me actually at Spring Fling, but it was uploaded by Upland, who run the Spring Fling event. And so I favorited it off there a bit. Here's one of my favourite photographers of all time, Nico. Travelled the world, he's in Africa at this point, cycling, totally stuck in the mud. And so, but you can have as many favourites as you want. You can also, if you want, create galleries of images that you've plucked off the web as well, off the site as well. So there's lots to play around with. It's got quite a lot going for it. But the point being is it's all based around photography. Now, let's say I want to upload a photo. Again, fairly straightforward. There's a little cloud symbol here with a little arrow pointing up in it. I can click on that. And at this point then, I can either drag and drop a photo onto here, or I can click choose videos or photos or videos to upload. So if I click on that, I maybe pull up a folder of images. Say I decide, what am I going to put up here? Let's say I decide to go for the cat. So I've now got a cat. I'll put that little photo up, and I've got a bunch of stuff here. So I can now start sort of changing the name. I can give this one title called Cat Eyeballing Me. Add a description. Black cat I met on my walk who realise that, change that. I met on my walk who was very friendly. I want to put that. Now I can add tags. So I can put black cat. Now bear in mind, black cat will come out as 2 separate tags. If I want them as the same tag, I would put black cat, all one word, much like you do with the hashtags. Okay, it's doing the same kind of thing as the hashtags with the tags. I could put eye, I could put fur, I could put close up. So something like that. Now, if I wanted, I could, and here you can see the little thing. If I wanted, I could add people. Now, I don't have any people in here, but say I'd photographed Andy or Janet, I could tag them into it as well. Now, I could also add to albums. Now, I could add this to one of my existing albums. Now, I don't have an existing album, but supposing I decided I wanted to create a cats album, I could do cats album, create a new album, give the title an album description if I want. Cats I have photographed, and of course you can be as whatever you like with this. So I've now created a cats album. Now what I could do, let's supposing I wanted a bit of feedback on this, and I'll come back to this. So I could create another album, and hang on a sec. Did I create? Yes. Yes, I've already got it in the cats album. But supposing I actually wanted to have a feedback. Feedback, please. Images I would like your opinion about. And I create album. Done. Now, what I can do, you may have noticed some of the spelling mistakes. So if I go back to my photos, oh, hang on, cancel, where do we go? Oh yes, upload one photo. Don't forget to do that. Still have to actually, let's just pull that in so you can see. So now I click upload. So I upload that. Hold on there, tiger. That's a cat, not a tiger. Continue to Flickr. And now we can see the cat has joined my stream. And if I go to my albums, I now have two extra albums, Feedback Please and Cats. If I go to my Feedback Please, images I would like here, I can edit it and I can go back and change my spelling. I would like your opinion about. Please. Smiley face. Right, save. Okay, so we can see that is fairly straightforward to do. So we can create images, we can upload them. Okay, one sec, I've got a new comment here. What's this? From Adriana. Hi Kim, been here all the time, sort of mid DIY, new light in my PC room. How do you... Okay, I've got a... I'll tell you what, let me flick back here a sec so that I can actually read. So, once again, live chat on my tablet puts something right over the bottom corner of the chat so that I can't read it. Okay, so back to what Adrian says. Hi Kim, I've been here all the time, but sort of mid DIY, new light in my PC room. How do you sign up? Tried and says email address unavailable. Use my Gmail one so I know it's a good one. Well, at that point, I'm afraid I can't. It should be fairly straightforward. If you're logging in, use your existing email address and you know, if necessary, click the forgot password if you've used this before. Otherwise, it ought to be fairly straightforward. If it says the email's address unavailable, really not sure. First of all, have you spelt it right? Have you made sure that you've got the dots in the right place? Assuming you've done that, maybe refresh the page, come away from it, open it again, and just try. Also says try your Yahoo one, which says the same. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, Adrian, I'm not entirely sure about that. I can't say for certain why it isn't taking it on. It should be fairly straightforward. Generally speaking, these things are, unless it's something in your settings, something in their settings, and literally without sitting next to you, peering over your shoulder, tapping away and getting frustrated along by your side. I'm not sure that I can help you with that one. But yeah, all I can say. April says, Adrian, I feel your pain. Technology is annoying at times. Yes, technology, absolutely wonderful when it works. Absolute pain in the backside when it doesn't. It's true. It ought to be fairly straightforward that you just click sign up and then follow the instructions. Anything that's going beyond that, try the help bar or Googling any help if it's not working. Okay, right, so let's go back to Flickr. Now, the next thing that I want to show you then is this notion of the groups, because what you could, if I put the U, there's a notion of groups. Now, there's all sorts of groups out there. There's thousands and thousands of groups that you can join, and some of them are, well, actually, I'll tell you what, let's go to explore. Let's explore recent photos. Can we explore groups? In fact, actually, let's just go back. I've got groups here. So there's a couple of groups I'm already a member of. And then, yes, here's example ones. Murals and Mosaics, Less is More, Utata, whatever that is, I'm not entirely sure. Flickr Social, Flickrology. So there's groups on pretty much everything. Squares, circles. So a group for where people are posting images of circle things within a square. 100 Strangers, Abandoned. So what you can do is you can join groups. So actually, if I go back to my photo stream, if I go back to my cat, if I wanted, I could add this cat to a group. So it's currently not in any groups. So I could add that to a group. I could search groups. I could search a group called Black Cats. Right, no groups so far. So what you have to do is you have to join the group before you can submit it. So if I do Black Cats and search groups, just to show you, what we can see is that there's actually loads of Black Cat Brigade, Black Cats Beautiful, Black Cats Path, Black Cats Den, thousands of cat sites that you can go and join. So you would look through, you would maybe join, find one that's still active, join it, and then once you've joined it, if you've been accepted, you can then post your image to that group. So that's the way that works. So I would now, if I joined that, then I could go back and then I would be able to submit it to my groups. To go back then to us and my groups, and here we go. We've got an Understanding Photography group, which is the one that I've set up. Now I've got 3 members and 1 pending. So I'm assuming that 1 pending is somebody who's just joined just now. Yeah, Nick. There we go, Nick. So I can now click accept on here. And if we're lucky, yep, Nick's now been accepted. So Nick should now get some kind of notification to say he's been accepted. Now, whether you get emailed for it or whether you get this little bell lights up with a little figure next to it will kind of depend on I think your settings. So if I click back to here, so we can see now we've got 4 members. 4 members currently sitting here are me, Nick, Andy and Janet. Okay, so once you've joined Flickr, you can find Understanding Photography or message me. I'll send you a link to it. At the moment, it is public. It's just I get to say yes or no whether somebody joins. You can have groups which are private. Where this goes in the future, I don't know at the moment. But at the moment, I'm keeping it public. I'm keeping it open. And for here we go. I'm following Andy. I'm following Janet. I can now click follow. And I'm now following Nick, which allows me to go and see his... Well, what that means is now when Nick puts any new images up, it will appear in my feed on the front page. Okay, a couple more comments. Adrian saying, agree, yes, it should be simple. It seems not. April says, sorry, Susan. Okay, have I missed something here? Andy says, worth mentioning Flickr exposure as well. It's great exposure when you get included. Well, yes, that's another point, is that there are various bits and pieces with Flickr where you can post an image. So if I... let's just... which way around should I do this? Yes, let's... No, I'll tell you what, try and remind me to come back to that. I want to show you, first of all, let's talk about this group, and then we can talk about how you can also use Flickr to get your photos seen further. So I'll go back to overview. We've got this sub-menu here. So I've got a photo pool. Andy's added this one to the group. And so here we can see what I showed you earlier is I've created an image for the avatar, which you can see up here, and for the banner. So these are currently just sitting in the group, and then I've got one here which I was using for testing out things earlier. Now we've got a discussion board, and this is the key thing, one of the key things, which is where I think it's really going to potentially benefit us. And we can have a whole bunch of different discussions. We can have a whole... Now, there's a thing called sticky. The sticky allows me to stick particular topics to the top. So whenever you come in, there will be at the moment, there will be these 4 here. And then we can create new discussions as we go. So to take you through them, one of the ones I've got here is a welcome and say hello. So I would really appreciate anybody who joins the group, leave a comment in here. So if I click on here, at the top, what I've got stuck at the top is a welcome to the group. Leave a short message with a name you would like people to call you in this group. A bit about yourself. Maybe, for example, where in the world you live, what you love about photography, if you have any favourite genres, anything else. Just something that kind of allows people to get a sense of who is it I'm talking to. I say, while it's always nice to have a sense of people we're interacting with, age, gender, disability, etc. are optional. You don't have to leap in with... if you don't want to mention what gender you are, anything else, you don't have to mention it. There's no compulsion for this. But we do want to have a sense of a real person that we're interacting with. So tell us something about yourself. And as I say, anything you feel relevant. I've put up a little example. Hi, my name is Kim. I'm a professional photographer based in southwest Scotland. I have a particular love for photographing people, creating theatrical and cinematic style images. I also run the live podcast, Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres on YouTube, nearly every Sunday at 3 p.m, which I set up in April 2022 when the COVID pandemic had us in lockdown. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a sense of who I am. It's a starting point. Okay, so, if anybody who joins, I would encourage you, please put something in there, because while some of us know some of us already, if this grows and expands, there will come a point whereby there will be new people, and it's nice to be able to get a sense of who it is we're talking to. Next, I have a rules and guidelines, and these are fairly loose and fairly obvious. It's just the outline. This is a place to share images, be respectful. We won't tolerate bullying or rudeness, that kind of stuff. Key thing here, only give critique on an image if it is asked for. And this is actually a very important point I want to make, which is unasked for advice is always criticism. If somebody hasn't asked you for advice, it's criticism, and that's not necessarily constructive criticism. Critique is there, and feedback is there for those who ask for it. And sometimes we don't want feedback beyond actually what we really want to do is share something. We want people to tell us how nice it is. We want people to respond to us. We feel particularly pleased about an image we've created, and we want to share it. We're not actually looking for somebody to turn around and say, well, you know what, it would have been a bit better if that bright red splotch over there wasn't so dominant. Because actually what we're doing is we're sharing. So I've put up a picture of a lovely, wonderful event I went to where I had a really nice time and I learnt something interesting, and I want to share this with essentially a group of friends. And that is the way you kind of look at it. So if you then start criticising my photo, that wasn't what I put it up for. I didn't put it up to be criticised. I put it up as a sharing exercise. So it's really important that you do not give feedback to a photo that hasn't specifically asked for it. And the flip side of that is, if you're putting a photo up, then say whether you are looking for feedback. If you want feedback, a critique on it from anybody else, not just me on the podcast, but from group interaction, then say that you are looking for feedback. Could you, and then try and give as much detail as you can. I'm not sure what to do about the editing. I don't know whether I can't seem to get the composition right. Has anybody any ideas on how I might colour grade it? Whatever you want, doesn't matter. Just be as clear as you can about it. Another thing to say, this is essentially, think family friendly. It's not a place for erotic or pornographic photography. This is, just like the podcast, assume that your granddaughter could be watching this as well. So we keep the swearing out of it. We keep the, slightly dodgy images out of it. Anything questionable. This isn't a place for that. There's plenty of other places, including plenty of other Flickr groups, if you really want to go there, which will allow you to express these things. It's just we're not going to have them in this group. Spamming will be deleted, submit a banned. Basic rule of thumb, keep the group family friendly, don't be a jerk. Okay, it should be fairly obvious, but that's the starting point, that's the leadership point. And the reason for saying this is because in the past, I used to belong to a particular photo group which had a wonderful feedback section, and people would help each other feedback to the images, and I learned huge amounts, except for the fact there were some real jerks in there, and there were people who would belittle you for things that you'd done to your photo. And even if they were right in their criticism, they were being a jerk. And I didn't like it, and I would get furious with it. And I thought there's no need for that. There is absolutely no need to belittle somebody because they haven't straightened their horizon properly, or there's that red splodge over there which is grabbing all the attention. Whatever it is, if you put your image up for feedback, you need to be treated with respect. And so I'm just laying that right out at the beginning, because whilst it's absolutely obvious to me, and I'm sure it's absolutely obvious to you, it's not absolutely obvious to absolutely everybody. So it's the biggest thing, really, is being respectful and basically assuming it's a family-friendly site. So I hope that makes sense. Meg says it's an interesting podcast. Becca says, just attempting to join, but it says I need an invite. If I go over to members, overview, okay, I might need to invite you then if there. Right, it's not showing up now that you've attempted to get in, Becca. So what we can do at the end of this is, if you want to leave a comment, send me an email, or we can use the email, the Facebook page or whatever. Let me know if you want to join the group, and I will specifically send you an invite for it. So where was I? Okay, back to the discussions. Submitting images guidelines, and this is basically where I'm saying, if you're submitting a group, be clear about whether it's for the podcast. So if you're putting an image in here which you want me to give you feedback on the podcast, say that. If you're wanting it for group feedback, other people outside the podcast, be clear about that. Also, if it's a picture which you're just feeling pleased about, you're feeling a bit smug, then that's great. You can put that in. And if you are looking for feedback, remember to, well, here's a little thing of how to stick an image into this. And so I'll tell you what, I will do this. Let's do something. So let's go back to the overview, and let's say we're in the discussions, and what I want to do is start a discussion. So I'm going to start a discussion because what I want is feedback on a picture. Now, the thing is that actually, if I want to upload a picture, I've kind of got to have the picture link first. So what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what will make this easier. I'll just open this in a separate window. If I go to open this in a new window, and let's say that what I'm going to do is I will go to my albums, I will go to collaborations with B20, and I will go down to this photo here. So this photo recently won the Photo Crowd expert review thing, and so feeling a bit smug about that. That's great. So supposing I want to, I'm feeling really pleased with this. I want to share this with the group. So what I can do, I've got this image now. Down on the image here, you can see the little arrow, which is universally known as the share button. So I can click on that, and but now if I just take that, copy it, come back to here, and what I could say is maybe feeling smug, photo crowd win. Delighted to have won the expert review, the expert choice in recent photo crowd contest. Please heap me with praise. Okay, now what I can do is I can now paste that link in. Now let's click preview. If I click the preview like that, then what we can see is that's a link to the picture. But supposing I want to actually embed the picture, supposing I want the picture in here, well then if I go here, in the share photo, I click on embed. Now this, if I click on that, I can now copy that, come back to here, let's just delete that one, and then paste it into here. And you get a whole bunch of script, and that's fine. Now if I click preview, you'll see the actual picture is in it. Now this becomes important because what I'm wanting to really do is move away from Facebook as the primary place to submit images to the podcast. So really this is the place you would submit images. But in order to submit the image, the important bit here is you have to have the image on Flickr already. You can't just drag and drop it directly into a post. It will say, where's your image from? And you have to take it from. So this is what I was talking about, the idea of maybe you can create your own album, which is just images for feedback. And then you can copy and paste them into the group. So now that's there, I can click Start Topic. Now I've got Start Topic. If we go back to discussions, we can see that we've got, if I do Overview, we can see here, Feeling Smug Photo Crowd Win by Kim. So I can now click on that and we can see this is delighted. Now, if you want to reply to this, there's a bunch of different little symbols up here. And again, there's a little kind of curved arrow here. I can click reply and you see down here, it's put a little bit of code, Kim Ayres. So that says that's going to Kim Ayres. So now what I can do is I can leave a comment and go something like, woohoo, excellent stuff, Kim. You're so cool. Smiley face, right? Post reply, or rather, sorry, post reply down here. And now we can see we've got a reply here, right? Or if I wanted to reply again to the reply, what I might do, if I close that for a moment and go back to this one, which was a different version of this, and I click on share that, embed that. So what I might be want to reply with another image. Okay, so I'll copy that and then go back here, and maybe in this one I hit reply. So I'm now replying to the reply, and I say something like, well, it's okay, but to be honest, I prefer the one where all the lights went off, and put post reply. Or what I should probably do is preview it first. Anyway, okay, so we can now see that in the reply I'm able to post another image. So what this will allow is for if somebody wants to put a picture up, embed it and say, I'm looking for feedback, I'm looking for help on this. And then if somebody else wants to take it and make a couple of adjustments, they can post their adjustments back into the picture. And into the thread rather. Okay. So hopefully then you can kind of start to see the potential for what we've got going on here. Now, other things that I've put, I've got a sticky one here, Smug Points leaderboard. I thought once I get the computer going back, get back properly, I will start doing feedback critique sessions again. We'll do the challenges, so we'll be able to get the Smug Points going. And at the moment, the Smug Points leaderboard, the introduction bit reminds everybody, if you're interested, that you get 5 Smug Points for turning up to the podcast, 10 Smug Points for entering a photo into a challenge, etc. Bonus Smug Points at my discretion. And rewards about the fact that you get to choose a challenge topic for the following month. And then what I'm going to do is I'll post in here. So, for example, on January the 12th, I put the top rankings for the first 2 weeks of 2025 are April, Robert G, Susan, Nadia, Janet, Meg, John and Rebecca are all on 20 points, Marilyn, VG, Andy and Sandra on 15. So as that spreads out, I'll keep a running kind of commentary Smug Points leaderboard. Okay, so that, I think, if we go back again, overview, then these discussions, we can start to see there's place here. I've put the submissions for next podcast one, so that if you do want to put something in for the submissions, you can stick it in here. And basically, as and when I use that up, I'll start a fresh thread for each one as it goes. So hopefully this is all starting to make sense. You can see up here, I've got little 5 things going on here. So I can click on here. And in the notifications, if this is actually going to show me anything, Sasha's Lab, who I don't know, has faved cat eyeballing me. Becca sent me a message joining Understanding Photography. Becca's now following me. Nick's now following me. Okay, and there's groups you admin. I can click on that, and John H has requested to join Understanding Photography. So I can now click accept on that, and I can go back to here, and I can click follow. So I'm now following Becca. If I want to see who's actually faved my cat eyeballing me, eyeballing me, not eyeballing me, this is Sasha's lab. So this is Sasha's photo stream. She's got favourites, she's got gallery followers and all the rest of it. Obviously has a thing for little figures and cats. Okay, so it's a place, as you can see, it's a place where you can go beyond, way beyond our group. You can establish connections with other photographers. You can create, you can join other groups, a lot of which don't really have much in the way of discussion boards, but are much more about sunsets or chairs blown over in the wind or black cats or anything like that. Okay, so this is really where I'm at. This is where I'm really kind of feeling that I can see where we could take the group. Here we go, top contributors, Kim and the TED Project being Andy here. So does all this make sense? I'm hoping it does. If there's anything here that I've not covered, then let me know, and I'll... Now, there is one pending member here. Let's click on pending member, see what that does. Oh, it says no pending members. Okay, that's probably the one that John did. So, Becca, I don't know whether you can find the group and then ask to join. Now that you're following me, you might, if you go to my profile, you might find groups that I'm following. I'm not totally sure on this, but I think in the Facebook group, I will certainly put a post in where I put a link to this group. I might stick one in the bottom of this this podcast as is as well, into the description. Well, I'll put it into the description once we've come back this evening. Once this podcast is over and I've got round to tidying everything up and gone through all the editing bits, then we can then I'll make sure I put a link to this in here. And then what I really want you to do is I want you to explore it, and I want you to play with it, and I want you to feed back to me. And we're going to grow this discussion group, because ultimately my plan here is that what we can do is we can use Flickr to really grow our community. So we can go just beyond, you send me an image, I talk about it on the podcasts, to you can place images in here, not just for my feedback, but for group feedback. That we can have more people coming in, that you can get other discussions going. That maybe if there's something you are really pleased about and you just wanted to share with the group, you can share it with the group. If there's questions you might have, like, I'm thinking of upgrading my camera, anybody got any suggestions? Or I'm having problems with my Affinity software. Does anybody know how I might be able to do such and such a thing? Or even I found this really interesting YouTube video all about this aspect of photography, thought you might be interested in it. Doesn't really matter what. Like I say, another bit in there, steer clear of politics, steer clear of religion, steer clear of anything that isn't really photography related. This isn't a place for bashing somebody over your head with your ideologies or your beliefs, or however they form. This is about us connecting on common humanity grounds. And there's something, I suppose, really important about the basics of what drives me, what motivates me, why I set this Understanding Photography up in the first place, is the way our world is moving, the accelerated by so much social media, is in the realms of polarisation. And that polarisation of I believe this, you believe that, therefore you are wrong. And I surround myself with people who share my beliefs in whichever deity, whichever political situation, whichever set of ideologies. Doesn't matter. The point is that everybody is about, this is my group, I'm right, and I'm going to keep hitting you over the head until you agree with me, which never makes anybody agree with you. Now, if you want to have those discussions, there are millions of places online you can go and have those discussions. This is not the place for those discussions. What this is about is creating common ground. What this is about is connecting on a common humanity, right? And it's a really important aspect of this. I see other people as human first. We are all people. We all have a whole range of emotions. We all feel joy. We all feel fear. We all feel anxiety. We all feel hope. What we are separated by is cultural, ideological, but these things don't make us any less human. I want to find, this is one corner of the internet, and there are plenty of others, but this is one where we connect is on our love for photography. And where we connect is on how we help each other with our photography. And we're not taking into consideration colour of skin, political ideology, religious ideology, sexual identity. Any of these things is completely irrelevant. What we are doing is we are connecting to each other as humans first in the realm of photography. And that's what this is about. It's absolutely what it's about. So other levels of discussion, fine, if you want to have them elsewhere. This is about us connecting. And what I'm hoping is that this Flickr group, because it's going to allow us discussion places, is to do more of that. And slightly ideological, well, hopeful, maybe naive. I hope not. I think we can create something wonderful out of this. And what I want to do is grow the community. So we have our kind of hardcores, if you like, you who've been following me and following the podcast and contributing to the podcast for the last months or years. And we can grow that. And what I'm asking for is your help. I need your help to help run this, to go in, explore, leave comments, leave questions. At the moment, it doesn't matter. We just have a bit of fun with it. We can delete things easily enough. I can delete threads. We can delete images, comments and posts. But it's not going to work if nobody joins in. If it's only me putting stuff in and nobody else comes along, it's going to die the death. This community will only last if we all contribute to it. And if we start getting more people in, what I might do is start asking some of you, I might promote you to moderators if you're up for it, because I'm going to need help keeping an eye on threads and letting me know if there's people spamming or putting inappropriate content or bullying or harassing or any of the things that we might need to moderate the group for. Okay? So this is what it's about. This is what I'm hoping that you will be able to help me with. And I'm hoping, desperately hoping here, that you will be as excited about this as I am, because I am excited about this. I think this has got room to really be fun, and to restore that notion of community and enjoyment, sharing with shared experience. This is what I like. I like the connection with other people, and we all love photography. So this has potential. Whereas, how often do you, whether it's opening Twitter or it's opening Facebook, and you scroll for a bit and then your heart just sinks, okay? You just feel like, ugh. We need connection. We need human connection. We need fun. We need common ground. We need enjoyment. And this is a place for it. And so I'm excited by this. And I hope you're excited by it too, and that you will help me with this. So this is my plea to you on this front. A couple more comments here. What have we got? April said, "I can't see your work. Bad, Kim, to have someone criticise you like that." Criticism can come in any shape and size. Becca said, "I sent a Flickr message so you know what profile it is." Okay, cool. Nick says, "I pressed the join button and had to ask to be invited." But I'm fairly certain I connected you there, Nick. Nick says, "Nicely said, Kim." April says, "I just noticed Woody with a magnifying glass." Marilyn says, "Well said, Kim, about the state of the world, and Flickr is a great idea." Becca says, "Good to have a wee corner of the internet, of kindness on the internet." And Andy says, "Excited for this." Excellent. That's what I wanted to hear. Right. Okay. So where are we at? I think that pretty much kind of draws us to... Oh, there was one other thing, yes, to go back to what Andy was saying about the notion of exposure. So you can, if you want, you can take images and you can place them on in other groups. You can join other groups, and sometimes also what happens is let me go back to groups. Flickr itself has groups. So Flickr has things like your best shot of 2024, or your best shot of 2022, or World Photography Day. And they set up a group specifically for it, and then you can stick an image in. And one of the things I found is, despite the fact that most of my pictures have 2 views, 6 views, something like that, there was one picture which got picked up. I think I can't remember if it was 2022 or something I put it into. And if I go to my albums and I go to, where are we? There's collaborations with Circle Vintage. And there was a particular photo I put up. Do you remember the car stories? I did. So I did a, where are we? Here, car stories. Okay. So this photo here was always my favorite. For some reason, this one got picked up here. And if you look at it, it's actually had 54,000 views, 629 favourites and 59 comments. Unlike the photo next to it, 303 views, 1 fave, no comments, 282 views, 287 views, 865. A lot of other ones I've got have hardly had any views at all. But this one got picked up. It got shoved into groups. It's in several groups. Automobile collection, French. So people have seen that it's a Citroen, and so it's got added to Citroen. Yesterday's cars, vans and pics. Art and boots. Okay, so somebody's clicked onto the fact that Emily here is wearing boots, and I think it's ended up in some kinky boots galleries as well, for that matter. So it's sitting in 16 different galleries: retro-ish, portrait art, ladies, personal favourites, awesome, World Photography Day favourites. So it's kind of odd that every now and again a photo of yours can kind of catch and go sort of semi-viral, in which case you do then get more exposure, more likes, more people kind of coming over. So that's the point that Andy was making with that. So let's just, as I say now, what do I do? Let's get to this bit. And just a little reminder here that if you find these podcasts useful, interesting, entertaining, all that kind of stuff, then buymeacoffee.com/Kim Ayres is one of the ways you can help. And of course, the other way you can help at the moment, and I will have to update this because we'll now want to include the Flickr page. Come and join the Understanding Photography Flickr group. Post images, post comments, reply to other people's comments, reply to other people's images, start discussions, and let's start using it and growing it. I will start posting links to getting to here. Start anybody you think might be interested, invite them along, and let's kind of grow it and see how it goes. It's an experiment. Might all go wildly wrong. It might not go wildly wrong. It might be wonderfully fun and successful. And that's what we're kind of going on. Meanwhile, remember to like this video. Click like on the video below. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment. Actually, you can leave a comment in the comments below, not just in the live bit as well. And that pretty much brings us to the end. Nadia says she sent a request for Flickr. Nick says, a great idea indeed. Marilyn says, I just joined Flickr and sent you a request. Okay, well, I will check all these ones out afterwards. April says, have a great week all. I will have to investigate. Please do. I will still keep the Facebook group going as well, though, just to, and because I would still have to go across multiple social media sites to let everybody know everything's happening. But I can kind of see the Flickr group as being the core place where we're going to be doing most of the operations. So, hope that all makes sense. Thank you everybody for turning up. Thank you for the feedback. Becca says we'll have to start sorting through my camera roll. Yep, absolutely. Like I say, if you create a little album which specifically says for feedback, and then you can copy and paste those images into the discussion groups, and you'll find that a lot easier. Thank you everybody for turning up. Thank you in advance for all your support, and I look forward to seeing you on Flickr, and hopefully I'll be back next week with something to show you, and the computer, whether I might be working. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.